I personally think that the Second Amendment is not only an essential amendment, I feel like it's the most important amendment because it really keeps all the other ones in place. And today's movement, I feel like there are two sectors towards it. There's one group that wants to completely abolish the Second Amendment, while the other group wants more regulation. So in terms of regulation and stuff like that, I would be willing to compromise for regulation. I think regulation is good on some weapons. Absolutely, we need background checks and stuff like that. My problem is that the government has a difficult time enforcing these laws, and it's hard. They're not really proving to me that they're able to do their jobs correctly. If they're not going to enforce the regulations that we already have, I don't see the point of adding more regulations that they're not even going to guarantee that they're going to enforce. We can't fire the government. We can vote them out, we can vote in people to make sure that they do that, but between those years we had someone who was a fairly liberal president that he didn't do that, and now we have someone who's fairly conservative, and I'm not sure he's going to do that either. So it's hard to put these people in check. So in conclusion, basically, when you see an erosion of your Second Amendment rights or your right to bear arms, it will eventually leave, not overnight, over time, it will lead to an erosion of all our other rights, like your freedom of religion, freedom of privacy, and freedom of speech.
I got involved in the March for Our Lives movement. Actually, the day of, I was with my friends hanging out when I got the notification, and I took a glance at my phone. I just took a look at it, and I saw that there was a shooting, and I just put it down. And then I went and thought about it for a second. I said, wait a minute, I just saw something about a shooting. What am I looking at? Take a look at my phone again. I see where it is. I get more worried because I've been down to Florida. I've been to that exact area numerous times. So I meet kids down there all the time, and they're all great kids, and it scared me that it could have been one of my friends. So I knew from that point on, I was sick of this. I already was sick of this. Well, joining the group, I know I'm not alone. I'm not, and I'm very relieved for that. And I'm glad to see that the kids in Parkland are not alone, that they have everybody's support. Everybody's behind them. I actually am still a little bit of a mess. I still talk to some people about it and talk about my feelings on it, because it rattled me inside. The week after, we had 2 weeks after the shooting in Florida, we had a school shooting threat in Wagner, where a student thought he heard somebody had a gun in the building, so we had a hard lockdown. It was one of those things. You get the announcement, Mr. Marinello comes on the loudspeaker, and he said, hey guys, we have a hard lockdown, and you heard it in his voice. You heard the emotion in his voice. I'm sitting here, this is exactly where I was sitting. The door was right in front of me. I said, this is not a good spot. She said, stay where you are. I'm thinking to myself, this is definitely not a good spot. So I moved to the other side, but where the teacher's desk was, and hid over there. But the 5 minutes of silence, the 5 minutes of hearing police sirens, helicopters, you don't know what's going on. You got no cell service to search what's going on, so you're left in the dark. And it was probably the scariest 5 minutes I've ever sat through, because you don't know what's going on. But I'm a senior, and it's coming to an end for me, and I got a few more months left. That's the goal as a senior right now, graduating and improving my school, making an everlasting impact before I leave, because I want students after me to feel comfortable in their environment. So I don't want anybody to feel left alone, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
The students of Parkland and many others want common sense gun laws that save lives. We know smart gun laws work. For instance, New York State has the 4th lowest per capita gun death rate in the country, even though we have the largest city, because we have such laws. If those laws were extended to the rest of the country, we would have renewable licensing of gun owners, we would have universal background checks, we would no longer sell assault-style weapons to civilians, and we'd clamp down on gun dealers who sell to straw purchasers. Those are the guns that most likely end up in the hands of criminals. We must also keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people. We don't tolerate drunk driving any longer, nor should we tolerate guns in the hands of domestic abusers and other violent people. The first step to preventing mass shooting is to reduce access to semi-automatic rifles like Australia did. America suffers 20 times more gun violence than countries most like us, but we don't have 20 times more problems. We just lack effective gun control.